Aurora Thompson had always been the kind of girl who scrolled through Instagram late at night, her thumb flicking endlessly through filtered lives that seemed so much brighter than her own. One night, she was lounging on her worn-out couch in her one-bedroom apartment, a half-empty glass of cheap Cabernet in hand, checking her boyfriend Jake's likes out of habit. There it was. A selfie of a woman she didn't recognize, all glossy lips and sun-kissed skin, captioned, "Living my best life in L.A." Jake had double-tapped it, and something twisted in Aurora's gut. "Who the hell is this?" she muttered to herself, clicking on the profile. Everly Hayes, 28, an influencer with over 200,000 followers. Her feed was a parade of shots on Malibu beaches, sponsored posts for skincare brands, and vlogs about empowering women through self-love. Aurora's eyes narrowed as she scrolled deeper. Everly's videos on YouTube were hypnotic. Her voice a smooth, confident drawl. Her outfits always on point. High-waisted jeans that hugged her curves. Crop tops that showed just enough to tease. And there, in the comments on a recent video, Jake's username, with a fire emoji, and "lookin' fire as always." Aurora refilled her glass, the wine sloshing over the rim. She clicked play on one video after another. "Hey loves, today we're talking about owning your sexuality," Everly purred in one as she demonstrated a makeup look. Hours blurred by, the bottle emptying, envy crawling up on Aurora. By 2 a.m., she was convinced. This was why Jake had been distant lately. Everly was everything that she wasn't. Bold, classy, unattainable. The next morning, hungover but determined, Aurora stood in front of her mirror, tugging at her plain bob haircut. "If he wants her, I'll become her," she whispered. She booked a salon appointment for extensions, dyed her hair the same honey blonde as Everly's. She ordered outfits online, anything that screamed confident vixen. She practiced in the mirror, mimicking Everly's walk. "Hey, loves," she tried, her voice too high at first and then dropping to a husky tone. "Today, we're owning our Jake noticed right away when she showed up for their date that weekend, her new hair cascading down her back, lips painted a bold red. "Whoa, babe, what's with the makeover?" he asked, eyeing her over his beer at the bar in Wrigleyville. Aurora flipped her hair, channeling Everly. "Just felt like switching it up. Don't you like it? I thought it'd be fun." He shrugged. "Yeah, it's different. It kind of reminds me of that influencer chick I follow." Her heart raced. "Everly? Oh yeah, she's inspiring. Empowers women, you know?" They ended up back at his place. But the changes kept coming. Aurora launched her own Instagram and YouTube channels, at Aurora Vibes. Her first video was a shaky imitation. "Hey loves, let's talk self-love and pretty things." Views trickled in at first, but she posted relentlessly, copying Everly's style down to the hashtags. Jake grew confused. "Why are you talking like that? It's weird, Aurora. You're not yourself anymore." "I'm evolving, Jake," she snapped one night over dinner at their favorite Italian spot in Lincoln Park. "Don't you want me to be confident? Sexy?" He set down his fork, sighing. "I liked you the way you were. This feels insecure, like you're trying to be someone else to keep me." Tears stung her eyes, but she held them back. "Well, maybe if you hadn't been liking her posts, I wouldn't have to." That was the beginning of the end. Weeks later, after a fight where she accused him of fantasizing about Everly, Jake packed his things. "I can't do this, Aurora. You're obsessed. It's not healthy." He slammed the door, leaving her sobbing on the floor. Devastation hit like a truck. Aurora curled up in bed for days, scrolling through Everly's updates, hating her, envying her. But then the notifications started. 100 followers, then 500. Comments poured in. "You're like a hotter version of Everly. Love your energy. Fresher vibes." Brands reached out. Small ones at first, offering free products for reviews. She threw herself into it, quitting her dead-end corporate job at a downtown firm. By fall, @Aurora Vibes had 50,000 followers. Her videos racking up views with titles like "How to Act Like a Goddess" and "My Secret Confessions." On the other hand, Everly noticed the dip. Her analytics showed stagnation, views flatlining, engagement dropping. Comments turned cruel. Bored of this. "Check out @Aurora Vibes. She's the new you, but better." "Everly who? Aurora's got that fire." Jealousy burned in Everly's chest like acid. She was in her sleek LA apartment staring at her screen, her perfect life cracking. "Who the hell is this?" she hissed to her reflection. She deep dived into Aurora's profile. The similarities were blatant. Hair, outfits, even the way she tilted her head in photos. "OMG, she's copying me," Everly told her best friend Lana over brunch at a trendy spot in West Hollywood. "Straight up stealing my brand." "Girl, that's flattery. But yeah, your numbers are tanking. Fight back? A controversy or something?" Everly's eyes darkened. "No. She wants to be me. I'll ruin her." Everly spent the next few days plotting, her mind racing through scenarios that would expose Aurora as a fraud and reclaim her throne. She slid into Aurora's DMs with a calculated sweetness. "Hey, Queen, your content is fire. We should collab. Think of the empowerment vibes we'd create together. Fly out to LA on me?" Aurora's heart skipped. A collab with Everly? It was validation, a chance to eclipse her idol once and for all. She booked the flight, nerves buzzing as she landed in LAX and Ubered to Everly's luxurious apartment in the Hollywood Hills. Everly opened the door in a silk robe, air-kissing Aurora's cheeks. "Welcome, love. Come in. Let's get comfy." Unbeknownst to Aurora at first, Everly had activated a hidden audio recorder in her pocket, capturing every word. They settled on the plush sectional. Everly popped a bottle of Veuve Clicquot, pouring generous flutes. "To new beginnings," she toasted, her smile sharp as a blade. As the champagne flowed, Everly steered the conversation. "So, spill. What sparked your glow-up? Your style reminds me so much of mine. Flattering, really." She refilled Aurora's glass repeatedly, hoping the drinks would loosen her tongue. Aurora felt the buzz, but stayed composed, sipping slowly. She had spotted the subtle red light of a device in Everly's pocket during their hug. A recorder? She played along. "Oh, just evolving. Life's too short for boring, right?" Everly leaned closer, her voice honeyed. "Come on, admit it. You were copying me, weren't you? I'm the blueprint, the best. You idolize me. It's okay, say it." Aurora chuckled, deflecting. "Everyone draws inspiration. Your work is iconic, but I'm carving my own path." Frustration flickered in Everly's eyes. No confession. Time for plan B. "Let's take this to the Red Room Lounge. More private for deep talks," she suggested, leading Aurora to the adjacent master suite. A hidden camera nestled in a bookshelf, rolling silently, ready to capture all the footage. More champagne, dim lights. Everly, though staunchly straight, steeled herself. This was war. She brushed Aurora's hair aside. You're stunning up close. Ever wondered what it would be like? Us? Aurora knew about the camera now. A lens glint betrayed it. But, instead of pulling away, she embraced the game. Fight fire with fire. Panting in the afterglow, Everly smirked inwardly, victorious. But Aurora's expression shifted. What the f***? Everly gasped, clutching her cheek. Aurora snatched a decorative knife from the nightstand, part of Everly's edgy decor, and pressed the cold blade lightly against her throat. The recordings. All of them. Now. Everly's eyes widened in terror, her scheme crumbling. Trembling, she handed over the pocket recorder and pointed to the hidden camera, fumbling to eject the SD card. Aurora pocketed them. Don't ever mess with me again, or this goes viral. Your desperate attempt to sabotage the new you. Stay in your lane. She stormed out. Back in Chicago, Aurora's followers exploded to 100K overnight after a teaser post about conquering LA. Everly's empire faded further, the posts ignored. Aurora had won.
I was never the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I knew it. Growing up in a small town outside of Pittsburgh, I'd always been the kid who struggled to keep up. Math was a maze, reading was a slog, and social cues were like a foreign language I never quite mastered. My name's Zian, and at 24, I was still figuring out how to navigate a world that seemed to move faster than I could think. I moved to the city a year ago, chasing a vague dream of something better, and ended up in an apartment with 2 roommates, Jake and Corey, who made sure I never forgot how slow I was. Yo, Zian, you gonna finish that sandwich or just stare at it like it's gonna talk back? Jake sneered one afternoon, snatching the ham and cheese from my plate. He was tall, wiry, with a sharp jaw and sharper tongue, always ready with a jab. Corey, shorter and stockier, laughed like a hyena, his eyes glinting with malice. Man, he's probably trying to figure out which end to bite first. I didn't respond. I learned early on that talking back only made it worse. They've been like this since I moved in, mocking my slow speech, my clumsy hands, the way I'd zone out when things got overwhelming. They treated me like I wasn't even human, just a punching bag for their egos. But I stayed because the rent was cheap, and I didn't have anywhere else to go. The only bright spot in my life was Leela. She lived in the apartment below ours, and she was everything I wasn't: confident, beautiful, with long auburn hair and a smile that could stop your heart. I first saw her in the laundry room, folding her clothes with this quiet grace, and I was hooked. I'd mumble a hello, and she'd always respond with a kind, "Hey Zian, how's it going?" She didn't laugh at my stutters or roll her eyes when I took too long to answer. Once, she even helped me carry a bag of groceries up the stairs when I dropped it, oranges rolling everywhere. To me, she was an angel. One day, I worked up the nerve to ask her out. I was sweating through my shirt, my words tripping over each other. "Leela, would you maybe want to grab a drink sometime? Like at Murphy's Pub or something?" She looked surprised, but her smile didn't falter. "Sure, Zian, that sounds nice. How about Friday at 7? I couldn't believe it. For the first time in forever, I felt like I mattered. But Jake and Corey caught wind of it. I should have known better than to mention it in the apartment. I was washing dishes, humming to myself, when Corey leaned over the counter, grinning like a shark. Wait. You're telling me Leela, hot chick Leela from downstairs, agreed to go out with you? Yeah, Friday night. Jake snorted, tossing a beer can into the sink. No way she's serious, dude. She's probably just pitying you. Girls like her don't go for, well, you know. He gestured at me, like my existence was the punchline. I tried to ignore them, but they kept at it all week. their taunts growing meaner. "You gonna wear your best sweat-stained t-shirt, Zian?" Corey would say, or Jake. "Bet she'll run the second she sees your dumbass face." Then, 2 days before the date, they got quiet, almost friendly. We were in the living room, them sprawled on the couch, me sitting on the floor with my sketchbook. I like to draw, simple stuff, like trees or birds. It calmed me down. "Zian, listen, we've been thinking. You want to impress Leela, right?" "Yeah." "Girls like her, they love funny guys. You gotta show her you've got a sense of humor. Like, do something bold, you know?" Corey chimed in. Like what?" I asked, my gut twisting. Jake grinned. "You ever see those animal masks at the dollar store? Like the ones kids wear for Halloween? Get one of those, a donkey or something. Show up to the date wearing it. She'll think it's hilarious, man. Trust us." I didn't trust them. Not really. But their words sank in. I wanted Leela to like me so bad it hurt. I spent all my life being the guy people laughed at. Maybe, just once, I thought I could be the guy who made someone laugh with me. So I went to the dollar store and bought a cheap plastic donkey mask, gray and goofy with big floppy ears. I practiced wearing it in my room, feeling stupid but hopeful. Maybe they were right. Maybe Leela would laugh, and we'd have this moment like in the movies. Friday night came, and I stood outside Murphy's pub, the mask in my hand. My palms were sweaty, my heart pounding. I slipped it on, the plastic hot against my face, and walked inside. The bar was crowded, all clinking glasses and loud chatter. I spotted Leela at a corner table, looking like a dream in a green dress. She glanced up, saw me, and her face froze. Not a smile, not a laugh, just this look of disgust. I took off the mask and waved at her. She stood up, grabbed her purse, and walked out without a word. I tore off the mask, my face burning. People were staring, some laughing, others whispering. I ran after her, but she was already gone, her heels clicking down the sidewalk. She was the only thing I'd ever really wanted, and I'd lost her because I was too dumb to see through Jake and Corey's cruelty. Back at the apartment, they were waiting, grinning like they won the lottery. "How'd it go, donkey boy?" Jake asked, cracking open a can of soda. "Told you she'd love it." Corey added, doubling over laughing. I didn't say anything. I went to my room, shut the door, and sat on my bed. I was done being their joke. A few weeks later, I was walking by the river near our complex, trying to clear my head. That's when I noticed the water hemlock plants. They grew in clusters along the bank, their white flowers looking innocent enough. But I'd heard stories growing up. My grandma used to warn me about them, how even a little could kill you, quick and ugly. I don't know when the idea took root, but it started small, like a seed. Jake and Corey were always stealing food from the fridge, eating my leftovers without asking. What if? I spent days researching online, using the library computer so they wouldn't see. Water hemlock was no joke. Convulsions, vomiting, death within hours. I told myself I was just curious, but deep down, I knew what I was planning. I hated them. I hated how they made me feel small, worthless, like I wasn't even a person. And Leela, she hadn't spoken to me since that night. I'd seen her in the hall once, and she looked right through me. I had nothing left to lose. One evening, I cooked a big pot of chili, the kind they loved to steal. I chopped the hemlock flowers fine, mixed them in with the spices. The kitchen smelled like tomatoes and cumin, masking anything suspicious. I left the pot in the fridge, labeled Zian's, do not eat. I knew they'd ignore it. They always did. That night I sat in my room, sketching, waiting. Around midnight, I heard them in the kitchen. "Yo, Zian left us some chili in the fridge." Bowls clattered, the microwave hummed. Then, silence. I waited, my pencil frozen in my hand. The first scream came 20 minutes later. I stepped out to find them on the floor, clutching their stomachs, foam at their mouths. Jake's eyes were wide, pleading, but I just stood there, watching. Corey tried to crawl to the phone, but he collapsed, twitching. Within minutes, they were still. I called 911, my voice shaking but calm. My roommates, they're not breathing. I don't know what happened. When the cops came, I played the part of the dumb, confused kid. They found the chili, tested it, and ruled it an accident. Those plants grow everywhere around here. Kids don't know what they're picking. I moved out a week later to a tiny studio across town. I didn't see Leela again, but I heard she got engaged to some guy from her office. I still draw sometimes, mostly flowers now, though never hemlocks. I don't feel guilt exactly, just a strange, quiet relief. Jake and Corey were gone, and for the first time, I felt like I could breathe.
I still remember the first time my dad pulled our Chevy station wagon into the parking lot of that motel off I-80 in Nebraska. I was 8, maybe 9, crammed in the back with my little brother and a pile of Happy Meal toys. The neon sign buzzed Motel 10 in pink and blue, and right next door was the Truck Haven with those greasy burgers that tasted like heaven after 12 hours on the road. Dad would say, "This here's a gem, kids. Clean sheets, hot showers, and the best damn cheeseburger in the Midwest." Mom would roll her eyes but smile. Well, fast forward 25 years. Jake and I were driving cross-country for our honeymoon. Yeah, a road trip. Because who needs Paris when you've got America's heartland? We were trying to save money after the wedding blew our budget, so when I saw that familiar sign outside Lincoln, I got all nostalgic. "Babe, pull in here. Stayed here 1,000,000 times as a kid. It's got the best truck stop burger ever. You'll love it." He glanced over, eyebrows up. Motel 10? Never heard of it. Looks a little, worn. That's fine. Probably just got bought by Motel 6 or something. Same vibe. Come on, it'll be an adventure. We checked in at around 9 p.m. The clerk was this grizzled guy with a beard that looked like it hadn't seen a comb since Reagan, chewing tobacco into a styrofoam cup. "Room 204. Ice machine's broke. Vending's out of everything but off-brand Cheetos." Jake shot me a look as we hauled our bags up the exterior stairs, metal railing sticky with God knows what. "Adventure, huh?" "Shut up," I laughed, nudging him. "It's only one night." The room hit us like a wet slap. Carpet stained with disgusting fluids, a bedspread with cigarette burns even though it was non-smoking, and an AC unit that rattled. The bathroom mirror was cracked, and the shower curtain had mildew blooms that looked suspiciously like faces screaming. Holy Jessica, this is a hole. I tried to laugh it off. It's retro. Come on, let's go get burgers. That'll make it better. The truck stop was still there. Pumps glowing under fluorescent lights, semis idling like sleeping dragons. But the diner. God, what happened to the diner? Used to be called the Roadhouse Grill, with checkered tables and waitresses who called you Hun. Now, it was some knockoff chain called Burger Bunker, all fluorescent orange and menus laminated in grease. We slid into a booth that wobbled like it was drunk. The waitress, tattoos up her arms, name tag Crystal, smacked her gum and goes, "What'll it be?" 2 cheeseburgers, fries, Cokes, Jake said. She scribbled. Didn't look up. "Kitchen's slow. Might be 20. 45 minutes later, our food arrived. Cold. The burgers were gray, buns soggy, fries limp as overcooked noodles. Jake poked his patty. This meat's still mooing. Or was it ever alive? I forced a bite. Oh, mine's got a hair. Long black one. Ugh. Definitely not mine. We left half uneaten, paid, and trudged back to the room. That's when the real fun began. The key card failed. 5 swipes. Jake was cursing under his breath. This place is a dump, Jessica. Why'd you pick this? I'm sorry. It was good when I was a kid. Finally inside, we were about to crash. I was brushing my teeth when Jake called from the bedroom, "Babe, you gotta see this." I spat, wiped my mouth, and froze in the doorway. The inside of the door, the one facing the bed, had these deep, frantic scratches. Long gouges in the cheap wood, splintered like someone went at it with their fingernails. They started high near the people, and they dragged down in desperate arcs, some curling at the ends where nails must have broken off. Paint chips curled like dried blood, and at the bottom, near the floor, there were smears, dark, rusty streaks that could have been anything, but sure as hell looked like old blood. "What the?" I breathed. Jake ran his fingers over them, deep enough to feel the ridges. "This looks like someone was trying to claw their way out." My stomach dropped. "Like a woman tried unsuccessfully to escape," I said, voice shaking. The words just came out, but they felt true. Jake tried the door handle. It opened fine from inside. No chain on this side. Whoever did this, they were trapped. We stared at each other. The room felt smaller, air thicker. I grabbed my phone, scrolled reviews quick. Buried under the fake 5 stars were horrors. Heard screaming next door. Blood on sheets. Manager threatened me when I complained about peephole drilled from adjoining room. "F this," Jake said. "We're leaving." "It's midnight." "Where?" "Anywhere." We threw our in bags. I was zipping mine when there was a knock. Slow, deliberate. We froze. Then a man's voice, muffled. "Maintenance. Heard your AC's loud," Jake mouthed. "We didn't call." I whispered, "Don't answer." The knocking stopped. We waited 10 minutes, barely breathing. Then, bolted. Left the key card on the dresser, bags banging against our legs as we ran down the stairs. The clerk was gone, desk empty. We peeled out in our Honda, tires squealing. Didn't stop until we hit Holiday Inn Express 50 miles later, where the night clerk looked at us like we'd seen ghosts. Checked in, finally in a clean room. I collapsed on the bed, crying. Jake held me, stroking my hair. "It's okay, babe. We're safe." But I couldn't shake it. Those marks. That scratching. Next morning, over bad continental breakfast, I Googled the motel. Found news articles. 3 women gone missing from that stretch of I-80 in the last 5 years. One body found in a ditch. Fingernails torn to Another never found. Manager arrested once for solicitation. Charges dropped. And get this, the motel had been Motel 10 since the 80s. Never changed hands. My childhood memories? Rose-colored. Dad probably picked it because it was cheap, and we were too tired to notice. Jake squeezed my hand. "Never again. Promise me." "Never," I swore.
My fiance, Daniel, told me to never visit him at work. He was the manager of a mid-sized bank, and his job stressed him out a lot. He couldn't handle any distractions. At least, that's what he told me. For 3 years, I believed him. Last week, I was doing my usual chores around the house when I saw that he left his briefcase behind. I called him, but he didn't answer. So, being a good partner, I decided to drive to his office and drop it off. Our son was with my parents for the day, so I figured, why not? His bank was near the grocery store anyway. I could pop in, give him what he needed, and get out of his hair before he got upset. I walked inside and introduced myself to one of the tellers. She was extremely ugly. She had a lazy eye and a thick unibrow. Could you take me to Daniel's office, please? I have his briefcase." The woman looked at me suspiciously, like I was trying to rob the place or something. I calmly explained that he was my fiancé, and she acted like I was insane. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave now." I was offended, obviously, but I didn't want to cause a scene at Daniel's work. So I put on a smile and tried to hand her the briefcase so she could deliver it herself. She refused to take it, literally accusing me of bringing a bomb into the bank. A bomb. The nerve of this woman. It was just a briefcase. I felt so humiliated. Even though I was trying so hard not to cause a scene, everyone was still staring at me. Just get my fiance, please. He'll sort this out. Trust me, lady. Daniel is not your fiance. A security guard came out of nowhere and grabbed me by the arm. I didn't resist, but he was so violent that my shoulder popped out of its socket. I could hear it. Pain shot through my side. The guy dragged me through the front door. I just stood there, my arm all messed up, and I physically couldn't drive away. The guard told me to leave before he called the police. I can't. That's when the guy noticed what he did to my arm, and he looked guilty. He tried to grab my arm so he could pop it back into place, but I refused to let him touch me again. I demanded that he get Daniel. The guard clearly did not want to do that, but I didn't give him a choice. I watched him go back inside to argue with the teller. Then, through the glass, I saw Daniel walk out of his office. He said something to the teller, but he wasn't treating her like an employee. He was holding her, hugging her as if she was the one who'd gotten hurt. Then I watched him kiss her cheek. What the hell was going on? He walked outside a minute later, after he'd calmed down the woman. When he reached me, he kept a foot between us. No hug, no kiss on the cheek. And as we talked, he kept glancing back at the window, as if he was more concerned with how that woman felt than his own fiancée. And the worst part was, he didn't even apologize or ask if I was okay. He just lectured me about coming to his workplace. Daniel, what's going on? I'm busy, and you should have just called. I did. You didn't answer. That's when he finally apologized. He told me he was really stressed from work, and Lacey, the teller, completely misunderstood the situation. He said all the right things. Everything sounded believable. He was still keeping his distance and glancing towards the window. I knew he was hiding something from me, but I was in too much pain to think straight, and asked him to take me to the hospital, but he said no. There was an urgent care a few blocks over that I could walk to. So that's what I did. Despite the pain, I walked to the urgent care alone, and a male nurse popped my shoulder back into place. I didn't realize that I still had Daniel's briefcase until after the pain went away. I could have gone back to the bank to get my car, but instead, I sat in their lobby and opened his briefcase myself. It was the first time I ever looked through Daniel's belongings before, and what I found made everything clear. His day planner was filled with mentions of Lacey, their date nights, evenings together, and all his work trips and trainings were a lie. He was living a double life with her. Last weekend's seminar was actually a trip with Lacey to Joshua Tree. He went to freaking Joshua Tree, while I had to deal with our son's 103-degree temperature. Even worse, he had code words in the calendar for all the time he actually spent with his real family. Our son's birthday party was last month, and he labeled it as dental appointment. Our anniversary dinner was called prostate exam. He was so determined to keep me hidden from his mistress that he wrote 1,000 excuses in his day planner. How could he cheat on me with that woman? She's a beast. After a while, the nurse came over to check on me. I guess I was sobbing in the lobby. I absolutely unloaded on him. He was speechless. I mean, what could anyone say? He hugged me until I stopped crying. I walked back to the bank after that. My car was still there. I hurried past the window so no one could see me, but the security guard was waiting for me outside. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. No, I believe you. It's not your fault. My fiancé kept me a secret this whole time, and his ugly-ass mistress is in there. Ma'am, if you're talking about Lacey, she's not his mistress. She's his wife. That's how I found out that my supposed fiancé, the father of my child, was already married. I was the mistress, without even knowing. I went back home, called a locksmith that changed the locks, and burned his briefcase in the fireplace. He showed up that evening after work and had all the excuses. He said that he didn't love Lacey, He didn't even live in the same house. He said that she was forced into a marriage with him, and that her father ran the bank. He just had to keep up the appearance when he was at work. He said that I was his real soulmate, not because he got me pregnant, but because I make him happy. You have two choices, Daniel. You can tell everyone the truth, or you can stay away from me and my son forever. He chose the latter, and I haven't seen him since. So I guess I'm a single mother now, but hey, I have a date with that male nurse next week. We'll see how that goes. I hadn't seen my older brother Alan in a couple of years, but I knew that he'd changed a lot. We used to be really close, but ever since he moved to Nebraska, he started to pull away from me. He got pretty religious, and whenever we'd talk on the phone, he always added judgmental comments about my lifestyle. I'd been happily divorced since 2022. My ex-husband was a total loser, and I'm so much better off without him. But Alan did not approve. He'd never been married, so he didn't understand how a marriage like mine could just fall apart. I hated how he lectured me about that kind of stuff. So over time, I just stopped answering his calls. Last month, he called me out of the blue to invite me over. He said that he missed me, and he didn't understand how we drifted so far apart. But he didn't apologize for all the times that he offended me. I really wanted to see him again, and although that if we had an actual face-to-face conversation, maybe we'd actually hash things out. So I agreed to go. I flew to Nebraska, and he picked me up at the airport. I stayed at his house for a day before he started lecturing me again. Having that conversation in person only made things worse. I stormed off and checked into a nearby hotel. I went online and changed my plane ticket to leave in the morning. I was so angry that I traveled all this way for nothing. I sat by myself in the hotel room, waiting for Alan to call and apologize. Of course he didn't. To help calm me down, I went to a hotel jacuzzi. I saw one of the other guests, a pretty blonde named Jane. Right away, she seemed really friendly. She said she was a long-term resident of the hotel. She didn't tell me she was a but I figured that she was. I was a pretty hardcore feminist, so I had nothing against her line of work. If she was happy with her life, who was I to judge? We stayed in the jacuzzi for about an hour. I told her about my problems with my brother, and she assured me that he'd come around. She told me about how her family had disowned her before they eventually reconnected, and that gave me hope. Just when I was about to go back to my room, I heard a buzzing noise from my purse. Someone was trying to call me. I got out of the jacuzzi and saw that it was Alan. I answered the call, but I accidentally left it on speaker so Jane could hear both sides of the conversation. Alan asked me if I'd calmed down enough to go back. He said that he forgave me for overreacting. I felt like screaming at him, but Jane waved at me from the jacuzzi. "Call him Mr. Golden," she whispered to me. I didn't know what she meant, but I did. I called Alan by that nickname, whatever it meant, and then Alan instantly went silent. "What's wrong?" I asked him. He absolutely freaked out, screaming into the phone that I had no idea what I was talking about. Then he hung up on me. Jane smiled and explained that she recognized Alan's voice. He was one of her clients, and he'd used that nickname whenever he saw her. Apparently, he paid for Jane's services dozens of times in the last year. I couldn't stop myself from laughing. My brother was such a hypocrite. I felt so vindicated by exposing him. I thanked Jane for the tip and went back to my room to dry off and watch TV. I guess I fell asleep pretty fast. Eventually, I woke up to a desperate pounding on my hotel door room. A little groggy, I went to the door and looked through the keyhole. I didn't see anyone on the other side. A little scared, I opened the door and looked outside. The corridor was empty. I told myself that I probably just dreamt the noise, but then I noticed a bloody handprint on my door. Chills ran up my spine. Suddenly, I saw some movement around the corner. I slowly walked outside, ready to run back in my room if things got dangerous. That's when I saw my brother standing over Jane's dying body. She had a knife to her stomach. I stood there, frozen. I just caught my brother murdering someone. He turned towards me and said, she swore she'd never tell. My whole body was numb. I felt myself backing away. He just stared at me for a long moment, deciding what he should do next. Then he reached down and pulled the knife from Jane's torso. In a rush of movement, he raced towards me with the knife. He was going to murder me too. I was his sister. We were so close. But now it was like he was a completely different person. I ran to my open door, but Alan grabbed me by the arm and pulled me towards him. He held the knife to the side of my neck. Sinners need to die, he whispered in my ear. I felt the cold edge of the blade pressed into my skin. If I didn't fight back, he'd slit my throat. I elbowed him hard in the stomach, forcing him to loosen his grip on my arm. I raced down the corridor, jumping over Jane's dying body. Alan wasn't too far behind me. He was extremely fast, diving at me with the knife extended. But just as he leaped over Jane's body, she stretched out her hand and grabbed his ankle. Instantly, he toppled forward and landed face first on the concrete. He laid there for a second, not moving. I couldn't see the knife. Suddenly, I reached down and pushed Alan's body to the side. The knife was sticking out of his chest. He had accidentally skewered himself when he fell. His eyes had rolled back to the back of his head. He was dead. I went back to my hotel room and grabbed my phone to call the police. When the ambulance came, they took away the bodies. I went with them to the hospital. Alan was declared dead, but the doctors said that Jane would make a full recovery. We still keep in touch.